Hi there, and welcome to a special edition of Stock Market Mentor's Chart of the Day. I'm Scott McGregor at Scott Trades on Twitter. And in a moment, myself and Dan Fitzpatrick are going to talk about why we are bullish and excited about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets in the coming months. We want to make sure that you are positioned for what we believe could be an interesting time for cryptocurrency. And so we're going to talk about a recent court ruling from a judge about XRP and what that could mean for Bitcoin and other digital assets. We're also going to get into, again, why we are excited. I'm going to show you a couple of charts about the dollar, about Bitcoin, and why I think this is a really good time to get interested in Bitcoin and digital assets right now. And so we don't want you to miss anything. If there is a profit-making opportunity, we want to make sure that you are involved. So stick around to the very end because we have a special webinar coming up in August that I think you're really going to get a lot of value out of. Let's get into it. I was talking to one of our mutual friends, Dan, Steve Burns, and I said, hey, I'm interested to talk about crypto and maybe we could put some stuff on your website. And he said, yeah, crypto interest has plunged. And I said, well, that's great. That means we're not doing it at the top. And then the next day, we had a massive court ruling in the crypto world when it came to a token called XRP.
Tell me more about this ruling. What are we talking about there?
The judge has said that this XRP token is not a security when it's sold on a public exchange, but it is a security if it's sold to venture capitalist investors and sophisticated investors. And so what this has essentially done is put Gary Gensler and everyone at the SEC in a real tough spot, because this ruling could then be applied to all of the other crypto tokens where if you bought it on a public exchange, it doesn't constitute a security if you're just a retail investor. But if you're an institutional investor, then it would constitute a security. And so again, there's like 5,000 different cryptos out there. We don't need to focus on 5,000. We just need to focus on the big ones. And then, ideally, get some of these exponential gains. And Dan, you've opened up a can of worms, because once I get going on this stuff, it's hard to turn me off. And the reason is because of all of these exponential gains.
Yeah.
And again, with the SEC having these court cases and basically, chasing a lot of these tokens out of the United States, whatever ones were based there, it could have just a cascading effect where all of a sudden, all of these tokens that everyone thought were securities and the companies were going to zero, they're having these massive rebounds. Like we ended up seeing XRP up over 70% in a day just on this ruling. And so again, there are some pretty amazing gains that can be had if you understand the basics of how these networks are valued, why they're valuable, and what the purpose is, because they're not all trying to be money. Bitcoin is trying to be money. We can all agree on that. It's trying to be a digital gold. It's trying to be a monetary network. Ethereum, I think of it more of like a digital oil, where yes, it does have scarcity aspects to it, and it is deflationary. But you also, to use any token on the Ethereum network, you have to own Ethereum itself. And so, there are different dynamics when it comes to, Bitcoin and crypto itself. And so that's the kind of stuff that we want to get into, because as soon as we can identify these dynamics, Dan, then we can say, okay, from an institutional standpoint, why would an institution want to get involved in this company, in this token, in this asset? And so that's what we're going to be doing with Crypto Market Mentors. We are going to be identifying, what we believe are some of the biggest tokens, some of the biggest assets, and then, essentially be there before the wall of money comes through. And so we want to set ourselves up for that.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be awesome. But I want to talk about, a few things relative to that case. Again, so if anybody wants to look up or learn more about that case, what was it in relation to? What token you said, like
XRP?
XRP. Okay. And the deal was, like, first of all, just so everybody knows, the frickin' government, the world, anybody who's in power hates crypto. They hate it. And you'll hear the typical fat billionaires talking about how it's just the worst thing, and oh, it's a bubble, and tulip coin, all of that stuff. And in an alternative universe, that's probably true. But meanwhile, back in the one that we live, crypto is a fiat currency. It's based on basically nothing other than what people are willing to pay for it. Whenever you're going to own something, there is an exchange to be made. If you're going to put water in your glass to drink, the exchange is you turn on your faucet, you put water in your glass, and you're going to pay something to the water company. An exchange was made. Everything. There's always an exchange. And when it gets right down to it, when you clear out everything, the exchange is always, what are you willing to pay me for something that I've got and that I'm willing to sell? That's it. Gold has no inherent value. The dollar has no inherent value. Nothing has any inherent value unless somebody else assigns value to it. Am I right, Scott?
100%. Yeah. And Bitcoin in that case is one of the most honest markets in the world because it's trading 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all over the world. Like BlackRock's Larry Fink called it an international asset.
Yeah, it's and I mean, as I learned more, at first I don't even want to tell you when I first heard about Bitcoin and thought, I should buy me some of that. I'm not even going to get started on that stupid thing. But what I realize is, like I just said, nothing has any inherent value if nobody's willing to take the other side. If you are, let's say you've got a backpack full of $100 bills. You've got so many of them that you've got like $3 million in your backpack, and you've got a match. Would you light that backpack on fire? Would you burn all of that money? No. Unless you were in the middle of the Antarctic and you had 3 pieces of wood that were really, really combustible, but you didn't have any tinder to actually get those pieces of wood hot. You had a match, about $3 million in your backpack, and you had some wood that if you could only get it on fire would keep you warm. You would burn through that $3 million so fast just so you could get warm. The point is, everything has a value in its place and time. At some point, somebody wants something that you have. Now, to bring that around to crypto and the dollar and all that, the dollar, in my mind, is worth way less than crypto is. Any damn coin. Because everybody's so focused on crypto as being bad, 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 yet it stays good, good, good. Crypto is still here. They can't turn off the internet, but also, excuse me, we'll just talk domestically. We'll just talk about the U.S. As the U.S. prints more and more and more money, it becomes worth less and less and less per dollar. That's what inflation's all about. Inflation is rampant, and it's because we have so much money printed out there that it's really not worth anything. Meanwhile, we have how many Bitcoin are out there, Scott?
There's 21 million total Bitcoin that will ever exist, and there's only 21 million.
So how many dollars will exist, Scott?
Oh, geez. I saw this chart of like how fast it took the United States of America to print $1 trillion. And the first trillion took 125, years or whatever. And then after that, it was every 3 years. They printed another trillion and another trillion. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, if you want to know, just look at the national debt and see how much every citizen owes, and
Yeah.
then you'll get a
Well,
sense of it.
we've been doing this for a while, so maybe we've already printed another trillion. It's hard to say. But the point is that our quote fiat currency isn't worth any more than Bitcoin, except that the government says that it is. Oh, it's backed by the full faith and credit of the United States. Okay. All bias and all politics aside, does the full faith and credit of the United States, does it mean as much now as it did 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? I don't think so. Um, but yet that's what everybody keeps harping on. And so I really feel that at some point, and I think we've reached that point, at some point, the masses are going to kind of wake up and say, wait a minute, I think there's all of this stuff's being manipulated. I think everybody seems to be doing really well except for me. And I think people are ready for a change. And am I talking about the demise of the typical currency? Of course not. Of course not. The dollar's still going to be around. The franc's going to be around. The what do you guys do? Loonies up there or something like that?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
loony. Typically you call somebody a loony, it's an insult. But anyway, so all the typical currencies are still going to be around. But I think that gold is a digital currency now. Personally, I think gold is dead. And it's just the way I feel. I know I've probably triggered a lot of people, but when I look at what crypto's doing, and specifically Bitcoin, and I compare that with gold, I think that crypto is certainly the better hedge against inflation. And I do not believe that any governmental entity is going to be able to shut down crypto. There's a lot of scams out there. We know that, but that's the same thing with stock trading. People think that, oh, I'm a stock trader. Okay, fine. Stocks aren't worth a damn thing either, except what people are willing to pay for them. So anyway, I've gone on about that. But what coins, or maybe this is a stupid question because I don't know that much about it
Mhm.
at all. But what coins or tokens are you particularly interested in, Scott?
Well, I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the two top ones. Am I able to share my screen really quick, Dan?
You may.
And this is one that gets me excited about the current Bitcoin cycle. So this is from someone named Rex Capital. He's on Twitter, does a lot of good material. This blue line here is representative of the halving of Bitcoin. So every 4 years, the amount of Bitcoin that they put out into the world gets cut in half. And so it's deflationary. Less and less of it becomes available, and Bitcoin miners have to work harder and harder and spend more energy to get that Bitcoin. And so every 4 years there's a halving event, and we are coming up to that halving event in 2024. And so here's what's happened in the past
Hang on.
based on the halving events. Yeah.
Hang on. You lost me as far as exactly what a halving event is. I see the chart and I want to go into that, but
Sure.
tell
Yeah,
me
so
more about the halving, and I will ask questions when I don't understand
Oh,
something.
no problem. Yeah, it is a great question. So one
Yeah.
of the beauties of Bitcoin and the technology is its scarcity. And so unlike, you're talking about the US dollar, they get to just print as many dollars as they want. Bitcoin is programmatic. And so it is programmed to be more scarce over time. And so the amount of Bitcoin that miners produce on a daily basis gets cut in half every 4 years.
Okay, hang on just a sec. I don't get that.
Okay, so
Because
everyday miners, Bitcoin miners like Riot and Marathon and Hut
right.
8, they compete on a daily basis to use their compute power to make Bitcoin. That's where
Okay.
Bitcoin comes from. And
So the Bitcoin, you're saying like how many? I sorry for cutting you off, but I will keep doing it.
that's okay. I'm glad.
So you're saying that how many Bitcoin are there in theoretically in existence, whatever. How many are there?
21 million.
Okay, 21 million. But they're being mined, right?
That's
That's
right.
what.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are they getting them from? Where are the miners getting them from?
So they
Like,
a basic explanation is that
yeah.
they compete. They do math problems, and
Okay.
whoever solves that math problem with their compute power gets a Bitcoin. And
Okay.
so as it stands right now, miners are rewarded 6.25 Bitcoin per block that they mine. Again, we're getting a bit in the weeds, but what you want to focus
Okay.
on is how many Bitcoin are made every day. And so there's 900 new Bitcoin every day
Okay.
that are being minted, and
So
every
that
4 years that number gets cut in half.
okay. You got 900 Bitcoin per day. And you've got a 21 million total. Like that's the maximum number of Bitcoin, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Okay, so currently there are not 21 million Bitcoin in distribution or in existence, right? Because otherwise, what are we mining? I mean, then it's just like the Fed. I just print more money.
that's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah,
right? Um, and I'm totally catching you off guard here. I know, Scott, but
that's okay.
I think I'm a fairly smart guy, so I can understand it, but I don't know. I don't know it, so I'm asking these questions. So, um, a total of 900 Bitcoin per day are able to be mined, like new Bitcoin coming into the system, right?
That's right. And that's how the miners make money. They mine this Bitcoin. They use all these big computers and processors and
Right.
NVIDIA graphics card, and they use their compute power. Again, I'm simplifying it, but they use their
Yeah.
compute power to mint these Bitcoin. And then to make money, they have to sell that Bitcoin into the market. And then that's how they make the money.
Oh, okay. So then okay, so that's how they make the money. They're making 900 per day. They're selling it into the market, which means that there are an additional 900 Bitcoin on the open market every day, which we're simplifying, but right?
If they decide to sell. Most miners will hodl their Bitcoin until prices really start to go.
Okay. So
And so, yeah,
they're
so
actually it's
essentially,
making it scarcer, more scarce.
exactly. And so what we've seen is price run up to this halving event.
Gotcha.
And so you can see over time what price has done. Downward sloping trend line, break above that trend line, price runs into the halving. We get a little consolidation around that halving, and then price really starts to get going. We've seen this over and over and over. Chart patterns, as you know, Dan, they repeat. And so we're looking
They do.
for, it's not guaranteed, but we're looking for what has happened in the past and then how we can potentially make money on that going in the future. And so the next halving event is coming up in 2024. I think it's April. And so we are looking for a run up into the halving event, some consolidation, and then follow through with a real big exponential move to the upside. Now, if you think about all of these ETF applications that are coming out from BlackRock, Wisdom Tree, et cetera, if they start to get approved after the halving event, then that is something that could push the Bitcoin market really high, and we get this big exponential run like we have in the past. And so you look at where we are right now, 2023, we really got oversold. It was the worst bear market in Bitcoin history. We
Mm.
got really oversold. We've rebounded, we're consolidating, and now a lot of us Bitcoin traders are looking for a run into the halving event, or at least, up and sideways to the halving event. Then the halving happens, looking for consolidation, and then, looking for that real exponential move to the upside. And so just based on what's happened in the past, this chart really speaks to me of like, okay, this is what's happened before. We kind of look very similar now. How can we make money on that?
Hmm. Okay, eh, so for whatever reason, when I hear the halving event, I'm thinking of Highlander, the quickening. We're coming to the quickening. There can be only one. So with respect to halving, does that have anything to do with 900 Bitcoin per day? Is that what we're talking about? It's always going to be 900. I don't know exactly then what the halving is
So
or
when
the
the halving
halvening.
event happens, it'll
Yeah.
be half of that.
Half of what? Explain that
Half
to
of
me.
900
So
per day.
going forward after the halvening, there can only be 450 Bitcoin mined per
Per
day. Is
day.
that how it works?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And so when you're looking at the miners, some of these Bitcoin miners that you and I are in, and a lot of our members are in, you want to look for the ones that, that either carry a lot of Bitcoin or are investing in technology to be more efficient because they're going to have to use more energy to capture those Bitcoin.
Okay.
And so, again, this is just one chart that I wanted to show you.
Yeah.
Another one, Dan, was the US dollar. So if we look at UUP right now, this
Hmm.
to me, this is on a daily chart. This to me looks like a breakdown of the US dollar in a nice big bear flag. And
I
so
love it.
if you were to own one asset, would it be the US dollar or would you prefer to own something like, what would you prefer to own? Something that looks like this, that looks like it's coming off of the bottom, big volume, low volume consolidation, flagging near the moving averages, or something that looks like it's about to
Mhm.
break down. And so that's
Yeah.
again kind of my excitement. That's why it's hard for me to breathe because I'm looking at this saying everything looks like it's setting up for a nice big Bitcoin slash crypto run to the upside. So it's
Yeah.
not guaranteed, but the setup is it's presenting itself. And
I
so
got to get my
that's a lot
wife.
of my excitement right now, Dan.
I got to get my wife in on this deal. Um, we own Bitcoin. We have a fair amount, but I would like to own more, but you know, can't do that kind of stuff on my own because she's smarter than me. I'm better looking, but anyway,
I don't
so
know
yeah.
about that, but okay.
No, I know. Anybody who knows her is going to go like, "Wow, you funny." But
Yeah,
anyway,
so
yeah, I think I'm really excited about this.
yeah, and I apologize for the real technical, technical aspect of
Yeah,
it.
I'm here to reel you in, man. You know.
And that's good. I do think you and I are a good team on this because I've been living in this world for a couple of years. I didn't know anything about it. And so what I'm saying is you have the ability to learn all this and it will become second nature because when I first bought it, Dan, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything about the halving. I bought it because it broke out on a weekly chart in
Mhm.
October of 2020. And I put a bunch of money in and was like, well, I don't know what this is, but it's breaking out. Let's see.
Right.
But and then once you start to make money in it and start to understand it, like once I had my first double, I made 100% in Bitcoin. I was like, well, maybe I should learn what the heck this thing is.
Yeah,
And
because
so
it's
that
all money. You know.
exactly, and so that sent me down that rabbit hole. And now, my wife, my wife gets real bored because she'll want to watch like a Hallmark movie or something on Netflix, and I'm like, no, 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 I want to learn about this crypto right here. I want to see if this makes sense. And she rolls her eyes, gets her iPad, and says, yeah, yeah, let me know when you're done. And so, you can learn it because I did, and I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about it before I got into it. So anyone can.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely interested in it because I'm always looking for ways to make money, and I think that this I'm a Bitcoin guy. Sometimes I shouldn't, but I'll use crypto and Bitcoin interchangeably, which for a guy who's 65 seems kind of like par for the course, where the old farts, the late adopters are just, oh yeah, yeah, I like crypto. Oh, you mean Ethereum? No, 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 I mean crypto, Bitcoin. So anyway, I think this is going to be good. I'm glad we're getting started with this crypto market mentor. And like I said, I will be your number one student. And the cool thing is because I have a microphone, I can cut you off when you're losing me. I can lead you
Perfect.
to where, I want you to teach this old fart everything that I need to know in order to be conversant and to be profitable in trading crypto. There are a lot of scams out there, as we know. But again, that's the same way in stock trading. There's such thing as the pink sheets. If you don't think there's scams out there, go watch Boiler Room. You'll learn real quick. So the point of making money in any kind of money is to know what you need to know in order to make sure that you're on the right track rather than getting led off of the right path just by somebody who's telling you, oh, you could just do this, you'll make $1 billion. Nothing is that easy, but it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to understand some basics so that you're not just walking around looking for the next big hit. So
Mhm.
anyway,
And Dan, someone asked, a few people actually asked, when will all the Bitcoin be mined? When is that all going to be done? And the year 2140 is when all of the Bitcoin will be mined. And so, when that happens, if we are still around, I don't think we're going to be. Then the miners will have to rely on fees of like transactions and stuff like
mm,
that going forward, as they currently do. If you're a miner, you're backing up the network. If I send money to Dan, there's a little charge. It goes to whoever processed that transaction, and so they can make money that way, even after all the Bitcoin has been mined.
I plan on being around in, oh, wait, 2140?
Uh-huh.
Oh, no, no, I'm not going to be around then. I was thinking 2040. I'd probably be pushing it a little bit. I may not, you know, I may not know a half from a whole, or drooling in a cup by then, but you never know. It could happen. But 2140? Nah, I don't care.
Yeah, I'll be busy. And the thing is, Dan, there's so much narrative out there. If you just learn what it is, get the basics, and focus on the chart, you can
Bingo.
trade anything. You can really trade anything. And one thing I said to a friend of mine is because they're like, yeah, but I don't know if it's the future of money. I don't know if it's the future of finance. And I said, frankly, I don't care if it is. If it
Right.
is, great. If it isn't, that's fine. I can still chart it. I can still trade it. And so that's really, if you're listen to my whole thing about the halving and blah 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 blah. Look, those are just technical points that people are looking at to say this is what happened in the past. Here's what might happen in the future. But if you can chart it, you can trade it. So that's the main thing to focus
Yeah.
on.
Okay. Well, listen, we're going to be working, you and I will be working together on how we're going to roll this out. And I do definitely have some thoughts for you on what we need to do going forward. But I'm going to be asking you stuff like this, and we'll talk off camera, so that the webinar that you're going to teach free, the webinar that you're going to teach is going to basically give people like me what they need to know in order to decide whether they, are interested in this. And a lot of people won't be. A lot of
Mhm.
people won't be, but a lot of people will be. And so that's one of the things that I'm excited about. And I do not know very much about this at all, and I have not been inclined to learn about it lately because I've just had other stuff going on. And but now it just seems to me, just for me personally, and then for us as partners and in a business context, it's right to start looking at this type of thing. And so, you can keep talking about stuff forever, but nothing is ever going to happen unless you decide, okay, well, it's time to stop talking and start doing. And so I think we're at that point right now.